Hello and welcome to the Work for Change podcast. My name is Jean.
My name is John.
And we are very excited to talk about today's episode.
Yeah, it's one that I've been really excited about filming. I mean, that's a lot to say, even though we're only 3 episodes in now. But it's with a really, really inspiring person that it went really well, and I'm really excited for you guys to listen to it.
Yeah, if you guys, if you know who it is, his name's Charlie. A lot of people know him by Charlie Rocket. Yeah, and he's got a really just awesome story. I mean, just from the surface level, he was over 300 pounds, lost 130 pounds, ran 5 marathons, did a Ironman, biked across the United States. So just on that, on achievement alone, that's awesome.
Yeah,
and that's a crazy story.
Yeah, crazy story. He was 2 Chainz manager at one point in his life, decided that was not for him anymore. He was making millions and millions of dollars and decided he wanted to do more with his life. And basically this podcast is sharing his story, and we're really excited to bring it to you guys. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Let's get into it.
Charlie Jabley, CEO Charlie, and Charlie Rocket. It's all the same person physically, but from what I understand, mentally and pretty much any way else is completely different people. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So what I would like to know
And I hope they don't think I'm crazy. I'm not crazy, I promise. I'm not. Maybe a little crazy.
If
actually.
you could, I think you're pretty crazy cool. All right, that was a bad dad joke. So if you could just explain the differences and how you became CEO Charlie, and then how you basically, transformed into a beautiful butterfly that is Charlie Rocket.
Yeah, so I didn't know I was doing it at the time. I didn't know what the law of attraction was when I was 8 years old, but I believe in it. I believe that if you want to attract something in your life, you need to think about it every day. But I also believe in the law of action, to where I wanted to be a businessman. 8 years old. I was overweight. Wasn't very athletically gifted, even though that was my dream. I needed something to be good at. So I said, I'm going to be CEO Charlie. I'm going to put on my suit. I'm going to have a briefcase. And I'm going to go to school. And everybody's going to know me as a business guy.
Nice.
That was my little life hack of law of attraction. I literally attracted it all into my life. And I had candy businesses in school where I would take 4 lockers on different sides of the school, and I would come before the teachers with the trash bags, and I would negotiate with the teachers so that they wouldn't get in trouble, so I wouldn't get in trouble with them, and everybody knew what side of the school I was going to be on at a specific time, because that was the secret to running a candy business, is not just being around the same people you see every day, taking the candy class to class, because you're not getting more clientele, but that being in the different grades, on the different hallways, and them knowing your consistency. That was the secret. So CEO Charlie was born, and I did all sorts of businesses. I got into e-commerce, and there were websites that are very popular today that I was a part of. One of them was kicksonfire.com, very big sneaker blog.
Yeah, oh yeah.
My first business partner ever was a guy by the name of CEO Khan, and we're 15 years old. He lives in New York. I'm in Atlanta, and we're just on AOL Instant Messenger, but we're business partners. And one day I asked my mom, I said, I want to go to New York to, visit my business partner. She said, what's his name? Khan. But it's spelled Khan. That's his real name. And she says, he lives in New York? I said, yeah, he lives in Brooklyn. Does he live with his parents? I said, no, he has his own place in a basement. And my mom is freaking out, sending her little precious child to New York by himself. And I said, Mom, we're doing big business. We're making a lot of money. She knew this because, I remember knocking on my dad's, door. He's in the bathroom, and knock, 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 knock. Dad, I need to open a PayPal account. He said, what's PayPal? I said, you can send money through the internet. He says, this sounds like a scam. At the time, PayPal is this brand new thing that nobody knew about and seemed too good to be true. How do you send money through the internet? And I'm like, I need your social security number so I can open up an account, because I'm just a kid. But we had a successful business in high school, and we also started a hip-hop website called spityourgame.com. Spityourgame.com was the website I wanted to create for the independent artists in Atlanta. And Atlanta hip-hop is like on fire. Everybody's got a dance song, and boom, you got T.I. and Jeezy. And I said, I want a part of this. I created this website. It blew up. I had record labels calling me wanting to buy it. I remember Mike Karen. He was a Atlantic A&R. He was like the big boss at Atlantic Records. And he said, I want to talk to you about your website. And we meet at the Four Seasons Hotel. I'm just a kid. I'm excited, though. And one day, I got a call from Interscope Records. And they said, we want you to come on tour. We'll let the motorcycle pass or the helicopter, military-grade helicopter. They said, we want you to go on tour with an artist we just signed named Soulja Boy. So I go to my mom, like I always do with my crazy adventures. Ma, I want to drop out of college. Like I'm living in her basement, and she said, why? Why would you want to do that? I said, they want me to go on tour with a rapper. And in her mind, like she's having these visions of groupies and, drugs and like hip hop. And I'm like, no, this is a job. Like this is a big opportunity for me. She gave me her blessings, and I got into hip hop, and we could tell many more stories about that. Mm-hmm. But, long story short, that's how CEO Charlie was born. And Charlie Rocket, I did the same thing when I wanted to become an athlete. Because as an entrepreneur, I signed big artists. Travis Porter, 2 Chainz, had millions and millions of albums sold, won Grammys, world tours. It was just one thing after another. But I was so overweight because business led to a food addiction for me. Business, because it wasn't my purpose. Remember when I was 8, I wanted to be, before CEO Charlie, I wanted to be an athlete, but I was overweight. So I kind of left my purpose, got off track, and did this thing called business, which I did great at. But business had 3 things that kind of trapped me. Food comes from stress. Food also comes from celebration. Food also comes from deal making, dinner meetings, lunch meetings. So every part of my day revolved around food. And I got very sick. I got very addicted. I was on diets pretty much my whole life. So I was tired of all the data and somebody saying, oh, no, you should do this type of diet or you should do that. And I'm like, okay, whatever you say, I'll do it. And then I fail. And I learned that food and dieting was a lot like breathing. If I were to ask you to breathe less in the next 3 minutes, you'd be able to do it. Mm-hmm. But then you would go, yeah. That was my life with food. Yeah. I'd breathe less, a.k.a. diet, and then I'd binge eat, a.k.a.
I love that. That explanation of it, because that's exactly what so many people do. It's really easy to restrict. Mm-hmm. It's really easy to tell yourself, okay, I'm not going to eat, anything for a few days, or I'm going to really restrict my calories by a ton for a few days. But then after that restriction is done, or you feel like you've hit your goal, what do? You go back to what you knew.
That's right.
And one of the hardest things when it comes to dieting and losing weight is finding something that you can sustain, and something that's not this huge mountain that you have to climb. It's like this thing that you're taking step by step, and this thing that is going to turn into how you eat now, not how you are trying to restrict so much.
Yeah, man. My relationship with food totally changed when I just simplified. It was extremely. I was overwhelmed with data. Everybody was an expert, and I said to myself, no more. No more. I just need something that makes sense. And I said, okay, here I am, 305 pounds, diagnosed with a brain tumor. I would wake up in the morning, the whole left side of my body would be numb. I'd be fainting. I remember I was at 2 Chainz' house, woke up, fainted. I'm sick. I feel like I'm on path for early death. And I said, if I'm dying, and you are what you eat, is what I'm eating, dead or alive. I just asked myself that simple question. And most everything I was eating was dead. And people might be thinking I'm talking about meat. I'm not just talking about meat. I am vegan. But I looked at, let's say, a Cliff Bar. Healthy, but can sit on the shelf for 4 years. Is that dead or alive? It's touched by machines. It was, has preservatives or whatever. I'm not sure. But it's not a high-frequency food. I want something that's alive. If I want to be alive, I want to look at it. If, say, my eyes were a radar machine and it were to read the energy coming off of something, I want it to be glowing. I want to be glowing. I want to be vibrant. I want to be colorful. I want to be full of energy. So if I want to be full of energy, is what I'm eating full of energy? And I'm not talking about an energy bar or coffee. I'm talking about real life energy. Is the energy, is the frequency, is the waves coming off of it reaching here or reaching here? Dead here, alive here. So when I made that switch, I realized, wow, I don't have to restrict or starve myself anymore. I could eat unlimited amounts and I could be full. And I was like, okay, new rule in life. I always need to be full.
Yeah.
What are the foods I can always be full on? Okay, made a list. How do I make them taste good? Made a list. Okay, cool. I'm going to eat unlimited.
And I remember, I think I was listening to another podcast where you were talking about how you kind of thought of food as 1 pound, right?
Yeah.
1 pound, how many calories are in that pound? And I thought that was really interesting because it's a way of counting calories, but not to a point where it becomes overly obsessive. Because something that people do is it's really easy to, once you start counting calories, you become addicted to that.
Right.
Addicted to, okay, now, and then it becomes more than just counting calories. It becomes counting macros, which can be a helpful tool for people. But it's very easy, especially if you're coming from a past of disordered eating, which I know you struggled with binge eating, which I would love to kind of hear a little bit more about. But it becomes, you switch that weird disordered eating with another one. But
right.
what you're doing, I think, is great because you know the foods. You don't have to sit there and weigh out a pound of it.
Right.
You just...
So what I did, when I said I made a list, now I'm going to get my whiteboard and bring it over here and hold on, give me 1 second.
Okay.
Let me get my whiteboard. Be right back. All right, hold on. So this is what I did.
Teacher Charlie in the house now.
I love whiteboards. It's great when you film at my house. All right. So, pen. Looking for pen, guys. I can chop this. Purple pen. Here it is. All right. Charlie's back. All right. So, this is what I did. I just wanted to sit down and do a little bit of research first. And what I noticed was the things I thought were healthy, they can be healthy. That's fine. But is it for weight loss? So when I went to Starbucks, and they have the oatmeal with the little packet, that has like the little nuts and raisins in it. You put in the oatmeal. The little packet is literally the smallest little thing in the history of the world. It was 120 calories. I'm talking about if we were to picture our stomach, it would fill up maybe that much of it.
Like 1/10, not even.
Exactly. So, yes. Oh, healthy snack. Only 120 calories. Sure, fine. But what I wanted to do is how do I get up here in my stomach? So over here, I learned that for 145 calories, I can have a pound of strawberries. A whole pound. 1 pound of strawberries. These are strawberries, by the way.
They're great. They look just like them.
Yeah, put little dots on them. Okay, so those are strawberries. So for 145 calories, I can have a whole pound of strawberries. So I said, what other foods in the world are like that? Because a pound of strawberries will fill up this much of my stomach for a very, very low amount of calories. So then I learned, if we were to draw a line, let's say oil has 4,500 calories per pound. And that stuff's in everything. So it's like hidden. Let's see, I think Oreos, don't quote me on this. Disclaimer, not exact numbers, but Oreos are like 2,300 calories per pound. Cashews, healthy snack. Cashews, I believe, are around 3,000 calories per pound. To where a sweet potato is 300 calories per pound. So if we ate 5 sweet potatoes, like that's hard to do.
Yeah,
First
it's
of
going
all,
to fill you up for
it's
sure.
like impossible. We're getting to the top of the stomach. That's my goal. To where if I were to have cashews, if I were to have a pound of cashews, it might get to this point in my stomach, and I ate 3,000 calories. So that was just my goal. I wanted to find the sweet potatoes, obviously, fruits, vegetables, berries, things that didn't touch a machine, things that don't exactly have labels on them, things that are living, usually are in the lower category. And I said, what are all the foods that I can eat a lot of? I just made a list of them. I was like, cool. I now know I can eat unlimited amounts, and I don't have to worry about restrictions ever again.
And that's really powerful. One of the things I recommend to people when they're trying to lose weight, and especially if they're trying to keep that sustainable, is do your research. Mm-hmm. Be your own. Like, you can't rely on somebody else to give you a meal plan. Like, obviously those things work for sure, but if you really want the best for yourself, it comes down to yourself. So you took it upon yourself to do that research and find out that works for you. Now, that might not work for everybody, but for you, that's what worked, and that's great. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really smart, and I like that. I think it's really interesting.
So for your audience, we didn't talk about it, but I lost 130 pounds this way, and it took me from 305 to my current weight. And after I've lost the 130, I've actually struggled a lot. So I never claimed to be an expert because I'm on a journey, and I've struggled this entire year with losing weight. And I think it's because I was doing a lot of endurance stuff. And I never would have thought in a year I would do an Ironman, bike across America, and a marathon and still be 40 pounds overweight. It blew my mind. Mm-hmm. And it was like...
Because you're doing all the right things.
Yeah. They say, burn more than you eat. Cardio is for weight loss. And I don't know if it's just my body. I don't know if it's because I have a brain tumor. I don't know what it is. But I thought I was an expert in weight loss until I started doing extreme endurance sports. And then it made me question everything. I was like, do I even know anything about weight loss? Like, how can I even help other people and give other people advice if I'm stuck and I don't even know how to lose weight? So I've been on a journey in the past month trying to figure out what I should do. And I might need your help.
No, well, that was one of the things that I was really interested in because like I said, I've been listening to you talk. I've been listening to your podcast. And this is something that I feel like you haven't talked about much. Mm-hmm. Obviously, because one, it's new for you. Mm-hmm. And two, I'm sure it's not easy to talk about. It's not something that's fun to talk about. But I'm really interested because I have friends as well that have struggled with losing weight in a very public fashion like you have, right? Mm-hmm. And then struggle with maybe putting some of that back on. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but for a lot of people, especially when you get a following, because for me, my identity for a lot of people is the guy that lost weight, right? So if I ever started to gain a ton of weight, that would be an issue, not just for me, but kind of crazily for the people that are following me. Mm-hmm. And I've seen people flip of a switch on the people that inspired them. So like you and other people that have inspired them to lose weight because they lost weight, and then say you or somebody else starts maybe gaining a little bit of the weight back, people flip on you. And they're like, what's wrong with you? What's going on? I thought you were dedicated. Did you ever deal with that? Or mentally, was it difficult ever, trying to put yourself out there when you're struggling, you're having those struggles?
No, putting myself out there was freeing. Like, I would say my audience is on the journey with me, and I've never claimed to be an expert. If you notice, with anything I've ever taught, I never say the words "you should," ever. Mm-hmm. Those words do not come out of my mouth. Where most internet experts or motivational people in the world always say you should do this, you should wake up earlier.
And I think that not to interrupt you, but I think the reason for that is because usually they have some sort of agenda, and they're trying to make money.
It's true.
Trying, not to be negative or anything like that, but that I've noticed that, and that's actually a good point because I haven't seen it on your posts. I haven't seen people, because I've seen people get upset at others. I've never seen anyone. Everyone's always. I think it's like you said, the energy you put out there is so positive. Like when we were driving up here, I was telling my brother, who said about 3 words in this whole podcast so far. I was telling him like he's so positive. I was like, it's crazy because you would think like when you just listen to him, you're listening to like a child. Just the way that you look at the world in such a positive mindset, And I think that
you're the second person who said that in my life, and it's the first time I heard somebody say it, I was like, wow. Maybe I am a child.
I mean it in the best way possible.
I know, yeah, I love it.
And I think it's crazy how, especially with social media, what you put out there is what you'll get back.
Yeah. And
you've put out so much positivity that even through your struggles, people root for you, man. Like, it's unbelievable. And I'm one of them, man. Like, I'm so stoked to be here because I'm a genuine fan of yours,
Thank you.
And I'm kind of going off on a tangent, but I think that 100% the positivity you've put out there has reflected in who follows you, and they have given it back to you. And I think that's a really big thing because you don't have to be afraid of sharing your struggles.
Right.
And one of the things I wanted to ask you about, I know that recently, so you've run, how many marathons is it now? 5?
5.
So you've ran 5. And like you said, you ran a good amount of them, and through them, I think I remember the first 3 you ran, gained weight through those, right? And obviously, I'm sure that was hard and stuff. But this most recent one is what I'm most interested about because I remember when I first started following you, I saw this. Did you run was it the whole marathon you ran without a shirt on? Mm-hmm. And you painted self-love on your. Can you just tell me about leading up to that marathon? What was going on, and like, what was it like? Running and finishing that marathon?
Man, so leading up to it, Nike challenged me to qualify for the Boston Marathon, which to qualify for the Boston Marathon, you have to run it in 3 hours and 5 minutes. Like, that's an all-out sprint for 26 miles. My heaviest weight was 305. So it was going to be this whole, like, amazing journey of 305 to 305. And I'm, like, fired up. Like, just got done biking across America. I'm ready for my next journey. This is it. I said, let's do it. They gave me that backpack over there. There's a cool backpack. Hold on. I'm going to show everybody. Hold on one second. Come right back.
That thing is pretty sweet. I've been looking at it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool backpack.
So this right here is an astronaut backpack that Nike gave me, and they sent me. Hold on, I got something else to show you. This is a very interactive podcast. They're gonna love it. They've never seen one like this before.
You guys got to watch this on YouTube for sure.
Watch this on
if you're
YouTube,
not watching
guys.
this on YouTube, you are missing out.
Okay, so Nike sent me this backpack with this typewriter in it, and they wrote me a letter, about the 305. So this was them, on the journey.
Can you read that, John?
Yeah. So it says, "Hey Charlie, we see you. You've shown us that belief is irresistible, that the crazy dreams are the ones that keep us going, that the skeptics cannot bring us down. We know that the sport teaches us to believe in irrational dreams, and that if we can chase those irrational dreams, we can change the world. We watched you run 3 marathons and lose 120 pounds. We saw you become an Ironman. We even saw you bike across America. But we also know that your story isn't over yet. Here's a little something from us to get you started on your journey to 305. Nike Running."
So that was an amazing gift, an amazing gesture from Nike. And I was ready to go into this campaign, and they gave me a running coach, and I'm fired up, and I'm like, I'm finally going to be skinny. Because in order to run 305, you have to be lean and fast. And I'm like, if I'm running fast every day, there's no way I'm going to be overweight. Because when I biked across America, I was like, when I'm done with that, there's no way I'm going to be overweight. When I complete an Ironman, I was like, when I get done with an Ironman, there's no way I can be overweight if I do an Ironman. And then when I did this, I said, those I was still at the same weight even after doing the Ironman Bike Across America. So I said, no, this is going to be the one. I'm in my training and I get injured. Calf injury. I'm devastated. And I'm just like, all this pressure from Nike, all this pressure on myself. I want to get to my goal so bad. Now I can't even run. I have a leg injury. The Chicago Marathon was going to be the qualifying marathon we did. And, I mean, I didn't have a day to lose in training. And yet, here I am losing 3-4 weeks. So going into the Chicago Marathon, I was extremely depressed. I saw nothing but darkness. I'm just like, I haven't been training. I think I had gained maybe 10 pounds, around 10 pounds. And, I had maybe like 3 weeks left before the race. And so I'm running, I'm getting my reps in, going slow, trying not to be injured. And it was just so depressing. And we flew to Chicago, and it was exactly like how I felt. It was gloomy, rainy, dark, and cold. And I'm just like walking around the streets, just like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. I've let myself down. I've gained this weight. In the morning of the marathon, I was wearing a blue shirt. And I looked in the mirror, and I said, you look terrible. Like, this is not what it was supposed to be like. This was supposed to be the day you were fit. This was the journey that the biggest athletic company in the world challenged you to. And here you are looking in the mirror. And I just hate the way I look. And I said, I can't do this. Like, I just can't run this marathon and cross this finish line and be so disappointed in myself. So I decided to get a pen. And I said, I need to be the complete opposite of how I feel right now. And I need to soak up the energy from people. I need help. So it's like when I want to be CEO Charlie, I dress up as CEO Charlie. When I want to be an athlete, I dress up as Charlie Rocket. I said, I need some self-love. So I'm going to dress up as self-love. And I'm going to run this entire race. And my name is not going to be Charlie Rocket today. My name is going to be self-love. I wrote self-love on my chest in big, bold black letters. And into the race. It was cold, it was rainy, but I took my shirt off. And I'm running. And within 30 seconds, somebody in the crowd screams at me, self-love. And then more people are screaming, self-love. People are high-fiving me, cheering me, self-love, self-love. So, like, I'm talking about 26 miles of people screaming at me, cheering the fact that I'm obviously not a fit person, but I'm running this race, probably the only person on this cold, rainy day running the race with their shirt off. And I'm promoting self-love. And all that love I got from everybody showed me that my imperfections and me being so confident and promoting something so positive was actually helping people. And people were so inspired by it. In the crowd, it was hundreds of thousands of people. And they're all screaming at me. Self-love. That downloaded so much confidence into me that I was just an hour before looking in the mirror, hating myself. And here's 100,000 people loving me for my imperfections. So I said, maybe I should love them too. And it worked. And I've felt better about myself ever since.
So to someone who, like, someone's listening to this story and they look in the mirror and they're like, I hate myself. I hate what I see. I hate what I've become. Like, what's your message to them? Like, how, for you it was, I'm going to become the person I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is that, and that's CEO, that's Charlie Rocket, that's, like, to someone who's listening, would you say it's just a mindset away, right? It's just a decision to...
It's a mindset away, And it's also dressing up. It's literally, you got to dress up as it. And for me, I've done it 3 times in my life, and it's worked all 3. I'm 3 for 3. And so with self-love, it was just a bold, scary act. You know, it could have been a 5K. It could have been, at the park. But I wanted self-love, so I put it on, and I went out, and I got some amazing feedback from it. I have a small Instagram account, 100,000 followers, but it had almost 20,000 likes on that picture. People were so affected by it. So I dressed up. I put it out there on Instagram. I put it out in front of 100,000 people as I'm running a race, and it gave me so much confidence.
Well, it was, I remember when I saw that, and I'm somebody that has a different body type than is considered normal, right, with my loose skin from the weight loss. And I think what, I can't speak for other people, but for me, what I did was I just put myself in your shoes. It was almost like I didn't even think about it. I just was like, would I do that? And what would that be? How would that feel? And it reminded me of how I felt when I first made the first video I made that was viral was me taking off my shirt and showing my loose skin. And that feeling of freedom and that feeling of being just sharing who you are and not being ashamed of that. That was, for me, one of the best moments of my life. And again, I'm projecting onto you, but I just remember thinking, I think he probably feels the same way. And I was just so happy for you.
Thank you, man.
But I'm sure that the people that were so excited and happy, because let's be honest, most people in the world aren't comfortable taking their shirt off in public. And especially at least running a marathon. And so I can only imagine that so many of those people that were just spectators saw you and probably saw themselves in you. And that's powerful.
Or saw who they wanted to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
they saw their hero.
Yeah.
And that their hero could have just been themselves, right? But themselves taking that step. And that's so powerful.
And we've talked about it on the podcast. When he made his loose skin video, it was, I think I need to do this. His friend was like, okay, let's do it. They did it, and in a couple hours it was up. For you, it was you're looking in the mirror and you go, I need to do this.
Yeah.
It wasn't like this, like, I'm planning a marathon and in 3 months I'm going to run it shirtless with self-love.
Right.
You know?
Because people can tell. People can tell.
Yeah.
They can see, like, if they saw that picture and it felt very, like, I'm doing this for a reason and I've planned this all out, people, you just don't respond the same. And those things that, it's, yeah, exactly the
It's
same.
just a message of, like authenticity matters, and, like, you're harder on yourself than anyone else is on you, you know, and, like, being confident in that, like, with my imperfections and the fact that you're saying you're not an expert, like, you've never put that out there. And the reason people turn on experts is because they were supposed to know better. But when you're like, this is my journey, like, I'm just figuring this out, figure this out with me. Now, instead of, like, where can I cut this expert down? It's like, how can I support this person on their journey? And it totally, like, changes the mindset and just the community. And so it's crazy.
You, man.
I'm really interested. This is kind of shifting gears, but we glossed over it a little bit. But I'm really interested because, like I said, I've been listening to tons of stuff of you speaking, and I'm really interested to know more about, like, the brain tumor. Obviously, I know that it wasn't cancerous, which, thank God, you know, praise God that's a huge thing. But I'm just curious about what it was like when you found out, how you found out, what you've been doing to combat it, because I think that's very interesting. And, you know, basically, what's it like living day to day with that, knowing that that's going on? Because I can't imagine that. I don't have anything like that, thank God. But I think it's a really powerful part of your story, I think.
I found out when I was in high school. I love basketball so much. I was too overweight to play basketball, but the coach was like, well, you can be one of the managers on the basketball team. And I'm like, sign me up.
Manager
like,
Charlie.
Yeah, like, I was a manager before I was a manager. And, you know, I was popular in school, and I found it as a good way to set an example. Like, I'm out there sweeping, you know, the floor at halftime, but that's a popular kid. So I was always, like, you know, very just, I took pride in everything I did and set that example for others. So I was sitting, we had an away game, And the past 2 years, I've dealt with migraine headaches every single day of my life, to where after lunch at school, it would trigger. And at the time, I didn't know why. Why am I getting migraine headaches right after food, right after lunch? And I lived across the street from the high school. I would have to go home, get underneath the bed, turn off all the lights in the house, put pillows around the bed, completely blacked out, no sound, because I would be so sensitive. And for about 3 or 4 hours, I'd just have to like deal with the pain. I went to a doctor, and doctor said, "Oh, you have migraines. Here's migraine medicine." This is 2 years. Fast forward to this away game, basketball team. I'm sitting on the end of the bench, and I'm in such pain, and it's ripping me away from the one thing I love, basketball. And I said, I'm not going to school tomorrow. I'm going to go to my grandfather's house, and we're going to find a new doctor, because this just isn't working. So I went to my grandfather's house. I said, Jidi, that's grandfather in Arabic. I'm half Lebanese.
Oh.
So I said, we got to find a new doctor. I can't deal with these headaches anymore. It's ripping my whole teenage life away from me, because every single day I can't go play. I can't hang out with friends. I'm in pain. And he said, well, your eye hurts, doesn't it? I'd like press on my left eye, and it would hurt. And the whole left side of my head would like seize up. I remember one time, there was this guy that my dad was working with, and he was like trimming the hedges at the house. And he walked past the window, and I got scared. And it did something. It put me in a seizure because of I guess the blood flow to my brain was, I don't know what it was, but I would get frozen. I wouldn't be able to move for a period of time if I got frightened. So my grandfather said, okay, let's go to an eye doctor at the hospital. So he took me to an eye doctor, and I remember the doctor's name, Dr. Cantor Weiner. She looked in my eye. She said, I think you have a brain tumor. We need to go get you an MRI.
Wow.
And I was like, wow. Like, I was actually kind of like, I don't know. I was like, okay, like, at least we know what is going on now. I wasn't, my parents were frightened. I wasn't frightened for some reason.
Almost relieved.
I was relieved, and, I think I'm just built to endure things. I don't know. It's just, I don't get emotional about things. I don't really get too scared. It's been that way my whole life. But found out I had a brain tumor, and they put me on medication. I'm fine. It was benign. I'm fine. Cool. For the first time in my life, don't have migraines. It's shrinking. Life is good. Fast forward to a year and a half ago. I'm at 2 Chainz' house here in California.
This is when you're at your heaviest as well, too, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, kind of. I was 305. I starved myself down 100 pounds, ran 3 marathons, gained it back, went vegan, gained more. I gained like 40 pounds running marathons.
Wow.
And then I went vegan, gained like 20 pounds. Extremely unhealthy vegan. Like, I'm not eating meat or dairy. I can go to, Veggie Grill and eat hamburgers and french fries, vegan hamburgers and french fries. And I'm like gaining all this weight. But anyways, I'm at 2 Chainz' house. And I woke up and the room just started spinning. And I was like, oh, this isn't good. It's like, what can be wrong with me? I'm not sure. I get out of bed. It finally stops after about a minute. I get out of bed, go to pick up some socks, and I pass out. And when I woke up, I was like, this isn't good. And, sometimes you just instinctively know what's wrong with you. You don't need a doctor to tell you. And I went downstairs and I talked to 2 Chainz, and I was like, yeah, I'm a little scared of what just happened. I passed out. I'm dizzy. Like, I went to my car, got dizzy. And a couple of days later, I was actually right here in this house. I didn't live here at the time. This was an Airbnb that I used to rent.
Really?
I flew my mom into town, and I rented this Airbnb. And I always said, I'm going to live here one day. And crazy quantum story about how this happened. But I was right here on this couch, and something told me, this was about a few days after I passed out. Mom flew in town because I was scared. I wanted to be with her. And I didn't tell her about it. And I watched a documentary about being vegan. Something just told me to. I'm from the South. Being vegan is weird. Like, it's like, you don't eat meat, you're weird.
Yeah.
And something just told me to watch it. Something said, what you're eating is the problem. From high school, you would eat these unhealthy meals at lunch. You get these crazy migraine headaches. It would inflame something in my body. Food, eating bad was inflaming something in my body, causing this imbalance. And the type of brain tumor I had is a pituitary tumor. So it's hormone based. So is something I'm eating, or everything I'm eating, throwing my body out of whack? Because the pituitary gland controls all hormones. That's like the computer of the body. And my gut told me, go vegan. I went vegan. I did it very unhealthy. My brain tumor had grown. The medication wasn't working anymore. To where the doctors, I would go to the doctor, they want to increase it. Wasn't moving my blood levels. So then they said, well, we want to take it past the safe amount to see if we can get it to move, just for a short period of time. And I was like, well, what are the side effects? They said, well, it can cause damage to your heart valves. And then out of the blue, I have a heart murmur. And I'm like, you're kidding me. It's like, I have a brain tumor. Now I have a heart murmur. This medication. Oh, by the way, you have to be on it the rest of your life. I'm just like, come on, I can't be this screwed. I said, I'm going to go vegan. I'm going to change everything. And then that's when I changed my philosophies of, after doing the unhealthy vegan thing for a little while, I then realized, like, okay, living foods, non-processed, living foods. How do I heal my body? If I get a cut, will it heal itself? Of course. That's what our body does. Now, if I have a cut and I rub dirt on it, will it heal? No, it can't. There's something dirty blocking it from healing. So when I changed my diet, I changed what I ate, my body started healing in ways that were amazing. My hormones balanced, and then I was able to do all these amazing things like bike across America and do Ironmans.
That is unbelievable. I think, I'm not trying to turn this podcast into like a medicine is bad thing, but I think that it's, what's crazy to me, and it's always been crazy to me, is that it's almost looked like food is like the last effort to change to fix somebody's health. Obviously, there are certain things that we can't control with what we eat, 100%. I believe that, health-wise. But food is such a powerful tool that we can use to not just heal ourselves as far as losing weight, but in so many other ways.
Right.
And that is incredible that you were able to, obviously you were taking the medication and stuff like that, but you were able to find that other way to heal yourself.
I mean, it's a scary topic.
Yeah.
I never give the advice to somebody to not take their medication because, I mean, that's scary. Like, a lot of times, like in chemotherapy, for example, with cancer, I mean, they say, oh, well, if you go vegan and get alkaline and do a water diet, you can reverse the cancer. And to me, I thought about, like, say my mom had cancer and I prescribed that to her and she passed away, I would feel like I killed her So it's scary when you have these doctors who are saying you need chemo, but then at the same time they said 75% of chemo it doesn't work. It's just scary to prescribe these stuff, and everybody it does know their information. The doctor knows their information, and a guy on a podcast talking about medicine is bad at this. Everybody has their knowledge, but I don't ever want to be responsible for ruining somebody's life, so I don't prescribe anything. I just talk about what I experience, and I've done the medicine, and it's worked before. And I've done the food, and it's worked. So I just live my life, and I hope that, everybody kind of takes their own life into their own hands and experiments and tries and does their own empirical, research. That's what I recommend.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really, really a smart thing to say because, again, it's very serious stuff.
Yes.
And it's not like we're sitting here trying to say, don't do this, do this. But I think that, your story is just, it's unbelievable. There was one other thing that I wanted to ask you about. I know I keep asking questions. I know I give John a second.
No, it's fine. I'm listening. I'm enjoying the conversation.
He's like, I'm used to it. You've been doing this your whole life.
People on YouTube are going to agree with you there. But I just want to, because there's so many things that we've glossed over that I'm really interested in. And you've talked about how you biked across America. Mm-hmm. And I know that there were some insane things that you did for some people through that. And I really want to share that story or have you share that story. Yeah. So again, why and how? What led you to decide I'm going to ride a bike across America? And you were pretty charitable when you were doing that. And I think that's a really cool story.
Yeah, so with biking across America, it was my opportunity to do something that wasn't about me. Doing an Ironman was about me. I did that. It's like biking across America, we can go impact lives. And this is America. It's like a very just iconic thing to bike across. And I was like, people bike across this country every day and nobody knows. I was like, if we're going to bike across, we need to help people. And we biked into this town right outside of Phoenix, Arizona. And the teachers had just went on strike. And we were like, why? The teacher's walking out on the kids. Like, this has to be serious. Like, I want to go to one of the schools and find out what's going on. Come to find out they had no money. The teachers are getting paid $25,000 a year. Like, grown teachers in their 50s have to be roommates with their sisters. I'm like, this is crazy. Yeah. So we're at the school helping paint and like doing all sorts of things to help out since they don't have money. We brought in contractors and everybody kept talking about this one lady. She was a teacher's aide and she was in a tough situation. So she was a teacher's aide and that means she gets paid by the hour. So during the walkout, she wasn't getting paid. And the summertime is coming up and she's not about to get paid. And yet she was diagnosed with breast cancer. She hadn't missed a day of school. She was going through chemo and everything. She loved the kids so much she hasn't missed a day of school. And we said, is she in trouble? And everybody said, yeah, we've been helping her out. She doesn't know how to pay her mortgage. She's struggling with her medical bills. The walkout was tough, and summertime's coming up, and she's not even going to know where to start. And I said, let me make some phone calls. I called my friend Eamon. He owns a company called Vero. And I said, Eamon, there's this lady. We need your help. He paid off her mortgage on her house.
That's incredible.
He paid off her medical bills of $90,000. And he bought her a new minivan so she could drive to California to see her family because her car wasn't working. And that was like a week and a half into the bike across America. Mm-hmm. I was like, wow. Like, okay, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
So then we got to Houston, Texas, and there was this girl who family put her up for adoption. She's from Ethiopia. The family that adopted her abused her, and at age like 15, she got the police involved, got out of that family, and she's living by herself, so was homeless for a little while. She got a job at Starbucks, became straight A student, lived by herself, about to go to college, about to graduate, about to go to college. But the problem is, when she goes to college, she wouldn't have a way to get to work. I heard about her story, and I was going to go to Starbucks and surprise her with a car. Starbucks said, come on in, film, whatever. This is going to be a good story for Starbucks. Starbucks needed some good press, I guess, at the time. And so I'm at the car dealership buying a car for her, myself. And I get a phone call. So we just got word you can't film in Starbucks. I'm about to surprise her in a couple hours. I just bought the car, about to drive to Starbucks, walk in and give her the keys. I said, uh-oh. How am I going to give her the car if I can't go in Starbucks?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's going to ruin the whole thing. So I said, can I film outside of Starbucks? They said, yeah, you can film outside of Starbucks. That's fine. I said, okay, I got an idea. Just tell her to take out the trash. That's all I need you to do. I hid in the dumpster, and we had all the news cameras hiding behind trees. We had her teachers and her friends all hiding behind cars. Like, everybody was hidden. Mm-hmm. And I'm in a dumpster. I had like a mister, and like it was hot, and I had my camera, and I had my phone, and sorry, over the microphone. I had my phone, and somebody was updating me. Somebody on my team was like, she's approaching the dumpster. And I said, okay, make sure she goes to the one on the left, because if she goes to the one on the right, this whole thing is screwed. and he says, I think she's going to the one on the right. I said, crap, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? He said, oh, she's going to the one on the left now. And I was like, okay. And then, boom, I jump out the dumpster and surprise her. The dumpster lid smacks me in the head. And I hop out, and she like screams like out of fear, and she starts crying. And I'm like, oh no, this is terrible. And I'm like trying to get out of the dumpster. I drop my phone, and I'm
She's
just like,
what is going on?
And then she like turns around, and the car has a big red bow, pulls up honking, beep, beep, beep. And then the news cameras are coming out from behind the trees. And then I finally find a way to get out of the dumpster. It was very difficult. And she's just crying. And I'm like, Siona, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. And she's just boo-hooing. And I said, we bought you a car so that you can get to work. And she just, I still talk to her all the time now. She's a blessing. She is one of the most amazing young lady I've ever met in my life. And so, yeah, that's what we did. And there was one other one in Atlanta.
Please.
There was this girl.
And this was hometown for you, right?
Hometown for me. There's this girl who we got a story about. She had an amputated leg, 22 years old. Her name is Amira. Amputated leg, and she says she just wants to be able to run again. And I said, okay, we're going to get her running again. We're going to get her a running prosthetic, but I want to take it to the next level. We're going to do a scavenger hunt in Atlanta. We're going to give away 305 pairs of shoes. And I'm not talking about just any shoes. We're talking about off-whites, like $300, $500, $1,500 pairs of shoes.
Oh, yeah.
We went to New York. We bought up all the off-whites from this store called Stadium Goods. And we just bought all these shoes, 305 pairs. And we did a scavenger hunt all over the city. And my purpose of it was, we're going to set the city on fire. But we're going to set the city on fire with running shoes. We're going to get everybody moving. And in order to get the shoes, I set up this event. It was at my old high school stadium. And Amira, she doesn't know she's being surprised. She just knows there's this motivational event at Chamblee High School football stadium, and she's coming. So I have all these people there to pick up their shoes, and Amira's there. And I walk over to her, and I surprise her with the news cameras and say, we got you a running prosthetic, and all these people are here for you. So the doctors took her, they hooked her up, and we all went on a run with her. Her first run. Wow. And we ran down the football field, all with Amira. And it was just a beautiful moment. So that's what the Bike Across America is called, the Dream Machine Tour.
Wow. And so now, following your Instagram, seeing your stories and stuff, you have a goal. You have a goal to reach a certain amount of people, right? Like, you want to do something. What's going on right now? Inspire,
transform 1 million people's lives, just like how I've reinvented my life. Mm-hmm. I would love to have 1 million of those stories. It's a different type of millionaire.
Yeah.
You know, somebody who helps transform a million lives. So I'm dedicating my life to that. I have my book coming out called The
Nice.
Life and Death of CEO Charlie. And interesting about the book is I met with a publisher a couple weeks ago. And they said, well, you're not a big enough celebrity. And I'm like I got so frustrated. And I'm like, I'm not a big enough celebrity to have a publishing deal. Like, we're doing some really good things, and this is a really amazing story that's going to help people. And I said, you know what? I think we can go New York Times bestseller without a publishing company. I said, if I tell my story, and if people are inspired, they're going to want this book. I said, I'm going to put up a pre-sale link. And we're going to go New York Times bestseller off of pre-sales. And I'm going to ask everybody listening that when that pre-sale link goes up, if you'll support it. And let's show these publishers that, you know, I'm not willing to go out there and just yell louder or do some crazy stunt for popularity. Everything I do is authentic. I would have way more followers if I went and did crazy things and tried to be stupider or whatever. But no, we're going to do this based out of legacy. And we're going to really help people. And that book is going to go New York Times bestseller. And I think people will believe in me enough to purchase a book. And I'm also going to be a motivational speaker. And it's hard. We were talking about it earlier. When you're kind of somebody and then you've got to start as a nobody with something new. It's intimidating. It's scary. And that's what I'm doing. I'm reading books like this. I'm practicing my storytelling. And I want to go out and I want to do 200 speaking gigs next year. Because I want to physically be in front of people. That's what I did with 2 Chainz. I wanted to make 2 Chainz a star. I had them perform 250 times in a year. And that's what I want to do. So if you're watching, request me at your school or your corporation. And I'll come share these stories and teach. Because that's what I left my company to do. To go inspire. I left my $15 million a year hip-hop business to dedicate my life to inspiring people. And that's why I'm going to write books. I'm going to go do speaking events. And I'm going to keep doing these missions like biking across America.
I think that out of everything that you've done, and I mean, the story that you have is amazing. I think what to me is the most interesting part about you is your mindset. Just it like oozes positivity and just, you know, basically the best thing is going to happen and there's no if something else happens, oh no. It's like, no, it's not. That's the best thing is going to happen for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that that's not always worked out, you know, the way that you wanted it to, but you being here right now, the stories that you've told us, for the most part, things have gone well. And I think that that's incredibly powerful. And I guess we can kind of, you know, start wrapping up. But normally when I end a video, I'll ask someone a certain question. But I think with you, I want to ask a little bit different of a question. And then you can obviously ask something if you have something. But what would a tip you would give to somebody that wants to at least start getting that mindset, that just oozes positivity and just feeling like the best thing is going to happen? I'm not sure if you're going to have an answer for that because I'm just genuinely curious for myself, you know? But I think that when it comes to your story, that kind of is like a thread that goes through every single story you've told us is you didn't know what was going to happen, but you believed the best thing would happen. So, you know, what do you say to someone that wants that mindset?
All right, there's a few aspects to the answer. The first is I'm a delusional optimist, and it's okay to be a delusional optimist. You know, I tell my mom, I'm a managed hip-hop artist. And she immediately goes into mom mode or family mode and is like, well, have you thought of the things that can go wrong? And I'm like, no, nothing can go wrong. I'm going to be the best ever. And our minds will play tricks on us. Our minds are logical. They will think about what can go right. Then it goes into, oh, well, what can go wrong, and then you lose a little self-confidence, and then you kind of get paralyzed, and then you don't even take the first step because now you're thinking about all this stuff.
Paralysis by analysis.
There you go. But our hearts have a certain intelligence. They're smart. Instinctively, we never say, follow your mind. That sounds weird, doesn't it? Like at home, say it, follow your mind. It doesn't even feel right. We say, follow your
Heart.
Now, point at yourself.
You always point here.
You never point here. There's a reason. It's because this is what we are, and this is what knows best for us. So I've had some sort of way at a young age, and I've just been practicing by shutting this down and operating from here. I saw it all the time in the music industry. The smartest people would never win. The stupider, not as intelligent people, kind of like myself, would win because it's like, yeah, I'm gonna go pass out 100,000 CDs. Yeah, I'm gonna go drive from radio station. Like somebody else might be like, well, we need to email and we need to have a strategy and we need to. No, like I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna go do boom, boom, boom. So I just follow my heart. I'm a delusional optimist. I shut down my mind from thinking, and I always tell myself, this is gonna be easy. It's my secret. I'll give an example with the Iron Man. I read this training schedule, and it was like, okay, do this many reps at this heart rate, and then this rep at the stroke at this, and then sprint for this. And I'm like, this is way too much information. This is like I'm like confused, and it doesn't sound fun. I said, okay, let me just add up how many hours a week an Ironman trains. 14. 14 hours a week. That's easy. 2 hours a day. When I was 8 years old, going to the park, running around the park for a couple hours, that was easy. Oh, we go to the pool on a Saturday, swim for a couple hours. Oh, that's easy. Oh, you know what? Riding a bike with my friends on a Sunday or after school all until the sunset for a couple hours. That's easy. I said, I'm going to train like an 8-year-old for an Ironman.
There you go.
Delusional optimist. I say it's going to be easy. And if you think something's going to be easy and you drink enough of your own Kool-Aid, guess what you're going to do? You're going to show up. But if we go into something, now this is the problem I had with my weight loss my whole life. All right, I'm about to do this. It's going to be hard, but I got to fight through it. Like I'm already telling myself it's going to be hard. Like it's going to be hard, but I got to stay consistent this time because this is going to be hard. And I would always say those words, and I flipped it. And I now say, everything's going to be easy. You heard when I talked about my book. I was like, we're going to sell, we're going to go New York Times bestseller. Like I'm going to tell my stories and people are going to believe in me. This is going to be easy. If I think it's going to be hard, I might not even show up. So those are my tricks that I personally do. I fall in and out of them. For example, I am not even taking my own advice because I want to launch a podcast. But I'm in analysis paralysis, and I just haven't done it yet. So I need to take my own advice. So I'm still in my journey of figuring things out. But the times I have, excuse me,
You're good.
the times I have done things successfully is when I said, it's going to be easy. I followed my heart. I didn't think too much about it. And I was just delusionally optimistic about it. Almost like a kid.
I love that.
I mean, that was going to be my last question, too, was just, like, tips, like, how do you do that? And what you were saying was everything seems to work out, but I'm going to, like, I challenge that, and it's not necessarily that everything works out for you. It's that you find a way anyway. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, when
like,
the ship is sinking, I'm still like, we're going to be good.
Yeah,
we got this
exactly.
lifeboat right over here.
Yeah.
That thing's going to be nice.
We could get 5 people on that at least.
At least, yeah. So, like, just the persistence, like, where it's like, even if, like, you're staring at the situation, like your publisher saying, well, you don't, typically we have this person with 350,000 followers, or whatever. And it's like, you could be like, well, what the heck? I thought it was going to work out, and this publisher told me no. But instead, it's this reality of like, oh, well, all right. Well, and then now what am I going to do? This? okay, I'll do it on my own. Like, and so it's like that. Not necessarily that everything works out, but it's the mindset of like everything will work out. And so,
And I think on top of that, it's doing.
yep.
Like you said, you just do it. That's perfect, right? But you really, that's one of the biggest things. Like, obviously, I tie a lot of things to weight loss because those are the questions that I get. But one of the biggest questions is, how do I start? And I get messages. I get 10 messages a day easily of people asking, how do I start? But then the next sentence is, but this is going on, this is going on, this is going on, this is going on. That's why it's hard for me to lose weight. And if the first thought you have after I want to lose weight is the reasons that you can't, it's never going to work out. You can't have that mindset going into it because your mindset is already, I'm going to fail and these are the reasons why. That's kind of what you're saying to me. And when people ask me that, I have to be honest with them. Like, first off, you're going to fail if you think like that. There's just no way around it. You can't, no matter how much like you said, I'm going to try. If your mindset is, I am going to fail, there's absolutely no way. There's absolutely no way to get through it.
That's right.
100%. All right. Well, this has been awesome. Before we leave, to find you on Instagram, we were talking about this on the drive up. It's just @Charlie, right?
Charlie.
The coolest Instagram handle ever. And then
We decided to look up our own names to see.
Yeah, and there's just random people this random guy that has @John. And I'm like, I want his @. So just @Charlie on Instagram. Is there any other ways to get a hold of you, or is that the best?
Google.
Good old Google.
Good old Google. I'll pop right on up.
And then as far as the book, that's not out yet, right?
It's not out yet, but when it is, man, let's talk about it because we'll tell some more cool stories.
Oh, absolutely.
So just if people want to find out about that, go to your Instagram
Yeah.
and then you'll post about it.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for being on the podcast, man.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate y'all. Awesome. That was a good one.
Yeah, it was.